Has the roller coaster of speculation as to whether or not Tia-Clair Toomey is retiring from CrossFit finally come to an end because of the real media? Let's have a look. Welcome back to the channel. Once again, I'll be talking about Tia-Clair Toomey, and the will she won't she discussion continues as to whether or not Tia is retiring from CrossFit. Well, it looks like we finally have an answer, and actually it's coming from News Channel 5 Nashville and a recent interview they did with Tia-Clair Toomey. Now, obviously, Tia is the most decorated individual athlete of CrossFit Games history, winning the CrossFit Games 6 years in a row. However, after her 6th win at the CrossFit Games, we started this tremendous amount of speculation as to whether or not she was retiring, because in that final event, Sean Woodland announced that Tia was planning to retire after this year's CrossFit Games. However, when being interviewed by Nikki Brazier immediately after the event and asked whether or not this was her final year, she said, "We'll see." And that opened the door for speculation. As time passed, we had a little bit more information and insight. We understood that she had a back injury going into the CrossFit Games that potentially would have stopped her competing altogether. And so we can start to understand why maybe there was some uncertainty on her part. Now, people have different feelings about this. Some are a little bit upset that they would have given Sean that information if they weren't 100% sure that's what they were planning to do, because it put him in quite a difficult situation, especially as people were kind of piling on to Sean, kind of accusing him of saying things that he had no right to say, when obviously he wouldn't have said that if he hadn't been given that information. And other people feel that, it's her business, right? It's her body, it's her training, it's her career. If she wants to change her mind, she's absolutely free to do so. So it depends on what side of the camp we may fall on. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the whole retirement announcement, whether or not we have a right to know, we deserve to know, whether or not this is unprofessional. I'd like to know what you think. But ultimately, what we do care about is, are we going to see Tia next year at the CrossFit Games? Well, let's head over now to News Channel 5 Nashville, and we'll find the answer to that question. So here we are. We're going to watch the clip from News Channel 5 Nashville. I'm going to be sat here in the bottom corner just because I've got to do it slightly differently so that I don't get a copyright strike for using their material. It's got to be clear that we're just commenting on it. We'll just watch the very start, the introduction, because, this is real media. Maybe we can learn something, and then I will jump to the very relevant portion of the video as well.
They don't get any fitter than our next guest. Tia-Clair Toomey recently locked in her status as the most decorated CrossFit Games athlete of all time.
So this is real media. It's interesting to hear them describe it as the most decorated CrossFit athlete of all time. Maybe I'm just picking holes out of jealousy, but there we go.
Earning her 6th straight title of fittest on the earth. Originally from Australia, Tia-Clair now calls Nashville home, where she trains as well. Good to have you with us. How you doing?
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm great.
So what drew someone from Australia all the way to Nashville?
I know.
So I'll stop it here because at this point, Tia is basically going to give a kind of background on why she moved to, first Cookeville, then Nashville. She's going to talk about CrossFit in general, and I do think that's a really good thing. Obviously, this isn't the morning chalk up. This isn't people that are going there looking for CrossFit-focused news. This is going to be for people in Nashville, and I do think it's good that Tia is out there as an ambassador teaching people about CrossFit, people that aren't necessarily looking for CrossFit, so they might stumble across this, and this could be their first introduction. So I do think this is a good thing. But I really want to skip to then the most important part, because after going through her background, what she's done so far, he asks about her future.
But the plan is to defend it, so you're going for 7 straight.
Yeah, that's the plan,
So that's the plan. He asks if she's going to go 7 straight, and she says that's the plan. So surely at this point, we can end the speculation as to whether or not Tia is planning to retire. According to this, she is not planning to retire. The plan is to go for 7 straight. So we can close that door of speculation. She does mention something next that potentially opens another door.
Coming up at the end of October is the Rogue Invitational, which is held in Austin, down in Texas. And then next year, the season starts around February. And, it's basically getting ready and prepared for the 2023 season.
So it's nice, isn't it, to finally have a kind of definitive answer. There she is saying that she's definitely planning to go for a 7th time, so we look forward to seeing how that goes. But then she mentioned Rogue, and that started a little bit more speculation as to, well, why is she mentioning Rogue? She's not on the roster for Rogue. She's going to the Down Under CrossFit Championship, so we know that she's going to be on part of a team competing there. There was no intention for her to do Rogue. She'd even said on her YouTube channel that the reason she was doing that team competition was because she really wanted to have a proper off-season and to let her body recover. So my feeling is that she's not mentioned Rogue because she's planning to be there. I think once again we need to think about the audience that she's speaking to. She was not talking to CrossFit Games fans. She was talking to people from Nashville. So it's likely that perhaps she's just promoting a event that they could easily find, an event she knows will be well run. So if people have then seen her interviewed on the news and they're thinking, you know, I'd like to look into this CrossFit a little bit more, well, now they've got an opportunity to find an event that we know are going to have the top names in the sport. It's going to be professionally run. It's going to have a really good live stream. So it's going to be a nice way for them to have an introduction into that top level of CrossFit competition, perhaps having never seen it before. So I actually think we should look at her interview there being more of a ambassador for the sport and less as a what she's planning to do, apart from that one little bit where she's told us that she's definitely planning to go for a 7th time to the CrossFit Games. So hopefully now we've ended the speculation as to whether or not Tia is retiring, and we can start talking about other things within the CrossFit space. This isn't the video that I was planning to make today at all, but as soon as I saw that, I knew I needed to talk about it while it was still relevant. But that does mean that I have a couple of other videos that are the videos I was planning to make that will be coming out very shortly. So I'd ask, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, maybe click the notification bell because the algorithm doesn't actually show you the videos unless you are notified. So that's an interesting thing to learn about the way YouTube works. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in a future video.